In less than 5 hours, gamers across this great country of ours will have a chance to experience the PlayStation 3 for the very first time. Now, Sony said that the next generation of gaming starts when they say it does, and they're putting it all on the line. But will Sony succeed again? Is it worth the money? Is it really cold out there in the line? We've got your PlayStation 3 right here, folks. It's The Loop. Joining us tonight from Atlanta, one of gaming's most prolific writers, Scott Steinberg, who has covered gaming for Maxim, Playboy, and Wired. And, of course, the man who took some time out of the console lines to be with us today, X-Play's own Adam Sessler. Welcome to The Loop, everybody. Scott, I want to start with you here, sir, because thousands and thousands of people are standing in line for PlayStation 3 right now. They're getting pelted by BBs. Some are getting thrown out of lines. I think one guy even gave up on a chance to lose his virginity. Why is everybody going so crazy for this console?
Oh, it's all about the lifestyle, man. And they've only been waiting, what, 5, 6 years? I'm sure everybody's been screaming, trying to get hands on theirs for the last 3 or 4 years. It's the next generation of games. You got fantastic stuff coming out. I can't wait to play Resistance. You've got Genji, Days of the Blade. And, you know, you might even sneak in a little Tony Hawk's Project 8 if you want to go for that retro flavor, you know, back to the last platforms. Well,
Adam, I mean, I know I can get Project 8 on my 360. Genji, I don't know that anybody's in line for that one. Perhaps Resistance, but, I mean, is someone getting killed tonight?
You know what? I actually think there may be violence. I mean, when you have people standing out under rather unfavorable conditions for that long, and then they slowly realize that it was all for naught, you know, there's sort of a tradition that frustration will then turn into anger, and then anger into violence. I hope no one gets really hurt.
But now, who's waiting in line, though? What's the type of gamer that's waiting in line? Is it like Scott says, they want these launch titles, or is it just a status symbol?
You know what? I think it's a status symbol. And I don't think there's any of the people like camping out for Star Wars movie. I think people are under the misassumption that this is some great seminal cultural event, and to not be part of it, they won't have a story to tell their grandchildren. Like by waiting on this line, they're ever going to have grandchildren. But I think it's one of these things that people are just so accustomed to doing that no one's taken that necessary step back to say it ain't worth it.
Scott, I mean, how do you respond to something like that?
Well, it's like, you know, I hear people, you talk about people getting killed, people getting robbed for these things. I mean, I feel bad for the thieves. They're going to get home and see what they actually went to all the trouble for. The fact is, this is going to be, you know, a great console down the road sometime in 2007. I'm not sure it's worth freezing your butt off or attacking somebody for tonight.
So how long before someone throws a platinum chain around one and just walks around the street with a big PS3 dangling from their neck? I mean, that's what it's all about for these guys then, right? It's status.
They need a
although
strong
the question
neck.
is...
They would need a very strong neck, that's right. Now, look, Merrill Lynch analysts, they say, look, Microsoft is going to take this next-gen console war, followed closely by Sony, then the Wii. Adam, I mean, this news, is this surprising to you? Is
no,
this what you're predicting as well?
I'm less, you know, well, I think a few months ago we were talking, and I was a little more hesitant, at least, you know, who was going to get the lead, when was it going to happen, and how tight was it going to be. I think that Sony has just been attracting bad press hand over fist for the past few months. Not just PS3, but the whole Sony corporate, you know, fiascos with the battery recall. There was a poll that was recently released which pointed out that a lot of people out there don't realize how expensive this system is. So you already have like that shock to suddenly hitting people. I will be very surprised if all of these consoles hit home and they work. So you have a $600 price tag, and then you have all this bad buzz surrounding it. I think a lot of people are going to start gravitating towards the other two consoles, and they're really going to lose that essential first-year lead to really build their base.
Well, Scott, I don't know how you feel. I did see all this negative press, and like Adam said, the batteries, the DRM rootkits on their Sony Music CDs, and now, of course, the PS3 issues. But it seems like every channel I flip to, there's some reporter standing out there, almost like he's braving the hurricane, in line with the PlayStation 3 kids. I mean, the excitement is there. The Nintendo Wii is launching as well, and it seems like nobody's talking about it. Now, is the Nintendo buzz going to get completely buried by this PlayStation 3 here?
No, well, I think up front it might be, but the fact is with the Nintendo Wii, it's not meant to look, sound, or feel like a video game console. I was actually at this year's E3 talking to Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who created Mario and Zelda, and he said they specifically made a system that did not look like a video game console.
Right.
So everybody who's going crazy for PlayStation 3 is buying into the brand, they're buying into the image, they want to have the newest, hottest thing on the block. It's a luxury item, and like Adam said, it's a status symbol, you know? You want to show that you've got the biggest checkbook, the biggest stones to stand out there in the cold.
Well, Sony's been banking on the PlayStation 3 for years now. They got the cell processor in their Blu-ray. They're really hoping this forwards and really pays off all the gambles they've taken on this technology. If they botch this launch, Scott, could that be the end of Sony, or at least the end of their console division?
Well, I'd hate to speculate. I haven't seen how much they've got in the bank, but I certainly think they're playing for an audience 2 years, 3 years from now. I mean, right up front, great, they're going to sell out of all the consoles, but what, they've got 400,000 that they say they're shipping, and people claim that they may have closer to 150, 200,000. At this point, it's all about headlines. I think it's a little early to judge, but I suspect 2 to 3 years down the road, they're the only console that's supposedly future-proofed. It's supposed to last 10 years. They've got enough hardware in there to power a supercomputer. I mean, look at it, you know. Maybe they're banking the farm on it, but it's a little early to call them.
All right. I think it's a little more risky for Sony. I don't know if they really have it anymore.
All right, well, we're going to have to wait and see. I want to thank our guests, Adam and Scott, for joining us. Of course, Adam is going to join us tomorrow live on set for our special PlayStation 3 Day 1 coverage. We'll also have an all-new loop where we're going to break down what happened during the launch tonight and see if the console had a successful takeoff or if it just burst into flames.